If you're struggling to get your vertical jump to improve, it's likely not your effort that's holding you back. In the last decade of coaching, I've helped countless athletes solve this problem, and it usually comes down to two simple answers. Now, when it comes to a vertical jump, we know there's two main factors. That's your strength and your elastic capabilities. The problem that most people have is they don't know what's actually holding them back. You don't have an identifier. Sometimes this is a strength deficiency. We're just not strong enough. Sometimes it's a stability and coordination issue. We don't move very well, or we don't have, the structural capabilities to hold ourselves together. We're losing energy as we move, things like that. And the last thing is a plyometric ability. We don't have the elasticity to be efficient in a stretch shortening cycle. So that's how we load and how we push off the ground. And the energy that's used in that is not being translated into the force efficiently. Now, if you want to identify your deficiencies, there's two simple things that you can do. The first way to do this is take videos. Take a video of your jump. See how you're jumping. Are there any technical flaws that you have when you're jumping? Do you look like a hot mess when you're trying to load into a counter movement jump and then get off the ground? Are your feet coming off the ground? Are your hips way back? Are your eyes up? What's going on? Take a video of your vertical jump and get someone to analyze it that knows what they're doing. You can probably analyze it yourself if you see problems like feet tipping forward so your heels are completely off the ground, your shoulders are way in front of your toes, or your hips are so far back that your chest is straight up and down. These are all common problems with a vertical jump, especially if you're struggling to improve it. You may have a technical flaw that could be pretty easy to fix and eventually boost your vertical jump further down the road. Now, the second thing is taking an EUR, or an Eccentric Utilization Ratio. What this is taking your counter movement jump and dividing it by your squat jump to get a ratio that tells you if you're favoring more strength training or if you're favoring more elastic capable training, so plyometrics, jumps, hops, things like that. This is a very, very simple thing that we've used with high levels of efficiency with just a jump mat. It doesn't require a lot of skill, and they're two very easy tests to perform that can give you at least, if nothing else, an idea of where you're sitting at for your vertical jump. If you have a very low ratio, something that's towards the number 1, you may be favoring more plyometrics. If you're something that's higher, say like a 1.15, 1.10, you're probably favoring more strength training, or at least a mix of strength and plyometrics. Now, these are two simple indicators that can give you an idea as to what's holding you back with your vertical jump. You can see if you're strength deficient, if you're elastic deficient, or if you're just technically deficient when it comes to the skill of jumping. Now, the second thing is having stayed consistent with a coach and program that understands what you're trying to do. Now, that's a mouthful, but basically what we're saying, or what I'm saying here, is that you need to be in a program that can give you long-term success. All too often, I have athletes come to us and they want this instantaneous, quick fix, short-term result. And that's great if it's done within the structure of a long-term vision. Most of you athletes have no clue what your long-term vision is. I want to be great at basketball. That's wonderful. How does jumping play into that, specifically into where you're at right now? Almost every single athlete that's had one of these two problems has had this vision of a ta-da moment. There's one short-term fix or one short-term program that's going to open up this beautiful expose of different talent and ability that I can now grab and attach onto to deliver super high levels of performance on the quarter field. When the reality is this doesn't exist. There is no ta-da moment in training. The best training program is the next training program that you get into, as long as that training program is built on what you've previously done and has an idea of where you need to go. So instead of looking for a super short-term fix, why not give the opportunity to someone that can have a long-term vision of your success? And within that long-term vision, you'll have good short-term results consistently as you go forward. So it's not just one up here and then stay plateau, stay plateau, one up here and then stay plateau. It's consistent over the course of time. You're consistently seeing good results that are going to deliver you way more effectiveness on the quarter field. Here's a great example of this. We recently had an athlete, Henry, come into us who was struggling with a vertical jump deficiency or couldn't get his vertical jump to move. So before we did any type of training, we did a very basic assessment and gathered information specifically on his video analysis of how he's jumping and his EUR. To no surprise, the EUR indicated he needed much more strength work than what he was previously doing. He was very deficient in strength, and the EUR was showing that he needed much more capable force production to be able to push off the ground more effectively. So what we did was built a program around this. And wouldn't you know, after 2 months, he was up 3 inches on his vertical jump. And this was just on a 3-day-a-week split. We're not talking anything crazy here. So within a span of 24 sessions, he was able to increase 3 inches on his vertical jump. That's a massive return on his investment. But the better part is that he continued training after that. And now, after a 5-month period, he's up over 4 inches on his vertical jump. And the kicker is he's dropped over half a second on his pro agility. Now, these numbers are great, but they don't mean nearly as much as what we're seeing on the court. For Henry, this opened up new opportunities. He was no longer a liability on defense. He was an asset, and he was able to create more space against his defender on the offensive side of the ball. These results came from consistent efforts in a program that understood his needs, was built for him, and was coached to meet him where he's at right now. And that's what I'm talking about in a long-term vision or a long-term program. We don't just chase short-term results. Those are great, but those are expected within the confines of a long-term vision. This is the real power of getting into a program that's built for you. The details, the coaching, the craft of training itself can't just be a one-size-fits-all approach. You have to understand that each of you are unique and dynamic athletes, and you should be getting your own training program and coaching to at least give you the details that you need on where you're at and how you can get forward in your journey to success. Now, if you enjoyed this video or thought it was valuable information, give it a like and share it with someone you know who's struggling with their vertical jump.